What you are looking at is an NES I got the Goodwill for $629, and I got this in non-working condition when I first got it. It didn't load the games, and it was giving me the blinking power light, which means that the lockout chip was kicking in. And of course, the game wasn't reading, and it wasn't sure if it was pirated or not. So, what did I do with this console? I bought it, brought it home, and as I said before, I only got the console, no power supply or anything. I supplied the power supply, and I went in this console, and for one, I dealt with the lockout chip problem. That's fixed forever. It's never going to be a problem again. And as the original game, well, you'll say the original game is trash because it's corroded like nothing. Nobody's business. It doesn't even read anymore. It's so bad. So, as I said, I didn't get anything with this, but that game did work long enough to confirm it. There, we confirm my lockout chip fixed worked on this thing, and it did. But of course, several loads of that game completely shown how bad that 72-pin connector really is in this console. It just gave me a brown screen of garbage because the lockout chip was no longer kicking in. Even with that game in, reinserted several times over. Oh no, what am I going to do? Well, I had plans to go to Plane Trade for a few weeks about this one for a little bit. And what did I do is I just got a game there and I tested it. Same problem even with the new game, so it was clearly that 72-pin connector. However, because I paid $10 for the game, I wanted to save the 72-pin if I possibly can. And as you see, I did save it. Well, how did I save the 72-pin? I used a Gambit screwdriver. It's not a normal one. It's basically like a flathead with the Gambit slit cut into it to fit the Gambit screws. Otherwise, it looks quite close to a flathead screwdriver, at least for a low precision kit like this one I used. So I straightened the pins out on the 72-pin, and it works most of the time. Sometimes it just doesn't load the game, and I gotta reseat it a few times, but in reality, me straightening out the 72-pin as I did it, it's just buying time. It's long gone, and I'm going to have to replace it sooner or later. It's just a way to avoid replacing it for a little bit. And just I haven't spent the $6 on another one. So in the end, I got an NES for $6.29 Goodwill with a bad game, which of course really didn't help the read problems. And I got with the lockout chip problem, so I made lockout chip useless, and I straightened the 72-pin out, and it worked with a different game, which makes you confirm the other game is trash. Now it's this controller. You've seen the price before. It was $7.99, I think. Yeah, it was. It's yellowed like nobody's business in some areas. Mostly on the plastic edges, but this doesn't bother me one bit. Because this is what makes old Nintendo stuff authentic. And I should make mention of this. I had the option of getting a brand new controller. I didn't want that. I wanted the old Nintendo one from 1985 with the yellowing. You know why? The Nintendo logo and the yellowing makes old stuff what it is. This yellowing just isn't there on new controllers. Not to mention it's on the Nintendo logo. It's probably not even the same design for that matter. Yeah. And that Nintendo stamp wouldn't be there molded into plastic. Yeah. If I got the brand new controller, it would have been $12.99. I got this for $7.99. And I got the authentic one with the authentic yellowing that makes the NES consoles what they are to some collectors, and why some of them leave it yellowed if it's not too bad. And my reason for doing this is, as I said, authenticity. This console's 25, 30 years old. You aren't going to find a brand new controller with this yellowing For a console this old, you want the yellowing and you want the authentic controller. That's the only way to do it, in my opinion. But enough rambling about that. Does it work? That's good enough to show that this works. But, just to recap, I am going to replace that 72-pin connector sooner or later. Sooner than later, usually. So I'm going to replace it very, very soon. And I'm going to make this work without jamming a screwdriver in the 72-pin connector again in 6 months or so to make it work again. That's going to get old very quickly, so I might as well just replace the whole 72-pin connector. Okay, so that's it for this video. I just want to make a video on this because I didn't make a video at first because it was broken and I wanted to make it work first. Because I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. But I got, as I said, I was pretty comfortable fixing it and I made it work. Yeah. Time to get back to playing Mario.